It feels so good to be back in the saddle. I mean, truly. And it feels so good to have what I'm now calling patriotic balls. What the hell is he talking about now? Thanks for finding me, everybody. Sorry for being out for the live stream the last couple of days. Doesn't take a lot to knock me out of doing a live stream because this is how I keep my sanity, as all part of a bigger thing with Wicked Wisdom. But the family issue that turned out to be even worse than expected. So blah, blah, blah. More on that later. Whatever. It is what it is, but we're back. If I didn't lose everybody, because consistency is the name of the game with this live streaming thing in the new media. But regardless, thanks for finding me, and thanks for having the balls. And I'm going to use that word a lot today. Sorry if it offends you. To stick through and trust the process, as the president said yesterday. This was an unbelievable day with the turnaround. And everybody knows, obviously. Everybody understands what happened with the stock market, what happened with the concessions, what happened with the new tariff deal, what happened and it all ties into everything of daily life now. Because it used to be, and really not that long ago. I'll just take from a media perspective. People who talk sports used to just talk sports. People who just were into this used to talk that entertainment thing. Have you noticed something? This is the first change. Have you noticed that even just people in your everyday daily life, and I just noticed this being with a lot of family over the weekend, there are more people aware of what's going on in the world and with current events and newsworthy things than ever before. It's all tied in, all of it. And when you and I get on here every day, we talk about a lot of mindset stuff and, taking control of things and, life solutions. You can't avoid what's going on in the news because it affects all of that stuff altogether. So this announcement from Trump yesterday, more importantly, what we're going to get into are the people that reacted to it in a negative way. Another thing that changed yesterday, it became crystal clear who's rooting against this country. I know that sounds like hyperbole. I totally get it. But now it's clear. Before you were like, maybe that's just politics. Maybe that's just, no. You know now what media outlets, media personalities, and crooked politicians are rooting against you and your fellow Americans. Honest to God. It's absolutely. All right. With that said, thanks for finding me. Don't forget, all the socials, Wicked Wisdom is on Facebook, YouTube. That's the full name of the podcast, wherever you like to get your audio podcasts. And our daily live stream, unless I'm out of town, apparently, for 2 days. The daily live stream is right here with Wicked Radio, so thanks for finding me. Well, what a day. Little story. So coming back on that plane yesterday, 1:19 p.m., I'm literally in the air, and I get an alert, because I think a lot of us have alerts on the phones from the, Trump just announced something here, and everybody, my phone is blowing up here. What's going on with, wow, okay. Trump raises tariffs on China to 125%. Boy, that's going to be... Hold on, let me read the second line. Pauses the new tariffs on every other country for 90 days because they didn't retaliate. And at this moment, when you're on a plane, and I was sort of towards the back, third of the plane. You can see everybody else in the screens and what they're doing. It wasn't just me getting an alert on their phone. This is why I say all of this stuff, more people are aware of current events now than ever before. It's like, throw out all of this. We've all become better educated. I could see a good portion of the plane, other people picking up their phone, getting the alert, and then I see the same thing that I did. So I scramble after that to try to get, the little goofy TV thing on the plane. I start flipping to the very first financial network that I can find, and I landed on Fox Business. And other people did too, apparently, or they might have been on CNBC, whatever. But an amazing amount of people on this plane coming back home to Florida yesterday were doing the exact same thing, trying to find out what's going on. And what did we hear? We got this.
Appears to be the first close on the Dow Jones Industrials with a gain of 3,000 points, although we're settling. It's all over the map. I can't for sure tell you that, but what a rally day. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
Oh, you could say it for sure. In fact, that's when it was breaking live. That's what we all saw in real time. The highest single day gain for the Dow in American history. And these things go back and forth, and that'll get broken, later on. But what a recovery. Not on the penalty to China. We'll get into that in a second. But the pause on tariffs to all the other countries. So here's the nuts and bolts of it. And I know this gets kind of involved, but this is kind of important here. So here's the lay of the land, because it seems like it's changing every single day. Here's how it looks, and I'll just go over this once. So the countries now, and this was published by the White House, trying to negotiate with us to try to be friends: Japan, South Korea, the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, Brazil, Colombia, Turkey, Malaysia, Australia, Italy, a bunch of people that want to work out a deal, but they don't really know how yet. offering concessions. Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Israel, Taiwan, India. No retaliation from Mexico because they're like, please, let's just get along. We'll take care of the cartels for you, sir. But the countries that have retaliated, China, we know that. That's the course of the story. All of this, as it turns out, it was all about China all along. The European Union, of course, and Canada. How would you like to be Canada today? What's the panic going on with them? Because now they're tied to China, and the European Union as the only nations who are actually still sticking to retaliatory tariffs. Unbelievable. So that's where we are there. Trump gets in front of a camera right away to explain it to everybody else. And he talked about what's really the biggest takeaway for all of us, right? This is why I call it patriotic balls. Sounds like something he would come up with, right? As earlier in the week, last week, he was talking about, don't be a panicking. You don't want to be a panicking, which is a great term. You know, people that sold out. He was telling everybody to buy. But he got in front of the media and he explained exactly what it is. And really, what we're talking about here is the courage to kind of like trust the process and go along with it. Anyway, this is what he said.
Everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, see, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out, and it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. I think it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness.
Trust the process. It's a big term in sports you always hear, right? Be cool. Don't be a panicking. Like I'm saying, have the patriotic balls to see this process through. And that sounds like, oh, you're just being a gung-ho, goofy redneck type American. So what? Because here's the mindset change. The first one, I think we all have to, if you're willing to trust what's coming, and there's still going to be pain coming, I am sure products made here are going to cost more. We've all heard about the iPhone story, right? Things are going to cost more, and there'll be more cheap products flown out of China that'll compete with this and all this other stuff. If you're not willing to fight for this, honest to God, you've been conditioned to just give up. Because if you're Gen X like I am, I'm in my 50s now, you and I have been so conditioned our entire lives to just say, oh, cheap products out of China, it's just the way it is. Oh, it's just, it'll be. We've been conditioned through absolutely weak, ineffective leadership in the business sector and with these stupid politicians for decades now to just put up with this. And what's the result? Here's why this thing is so important to stick it through. Don't do it for your country, for just for a flag. Do it for your family, because your future generations, because you can either support what we have in this country, in this economy, or somebody else's, and that somebody else is being China. Do it for the American worker. Do it for the middle class, because what this is an effort to save the middle class. That's who you do it for. So when I say that term, patriotic balls, that's who this is for, and it is going to be some pain. There's going to be a lot more. Absolutely there is. Me, I think it's a fight worth fighting. That's all I'm going to say. That's what I think. I think it's absolutely worth doing this right now, which is something that should have been done years ago. And here's another thing that's going to happen. Remember that whole label? Think back to when you were kids, or maybe even 20s, 30s, whatever it was. Remember the whole Made in America patch, symbol, whatever it is? You're going to see a lot more of that, the companies that decided to invest in here. First of all, it's good marketing for them. These days, now after this, it's a very smart marketing move and very smart persuasion for a company or anybody to put an Made in America label on something. Because it tells you it's here, it's supporting our economy, and they're down with it, right? And they support it as well. Secondly, we're going to have to start supporting those countries as well a lot more. Because we got weak. We're just like, and I'm just as guilty. I'm probably more guilty than anybody else. I haven't looked at where the thing was made in years. I haven't. Because I just kind of accepted that, well, the manufacturing cheap goods in China, this and that. And why China? Why is it? Why are we picking this fight? Why? Have you ever tried to sell anything on Amazon? Not like anything. Like, did you ever write a book, you try to sell that, or a product, or that? Most of it is stolen. Most of it's stolen by Chinese manufacturers that will take your goods, your idea. They steal intellectual property from American countries all the time. They steal, and they'll change the monetary process, they'll change the terms of negotiation. You can't sue them. They have no respect for trademark or patent laws. nothing like that, let alone the fact that they're stealing American manufacturing. And these weak corporations have gone over there with the promise of cheap labor. You bring that back, despite the cost of what's going to happen here. Is that a fight worth fighting? Because I think so. That's what I mean by patriotic balls. That's what it's about. So it's worth it. But now you've got, and Trump had said, bye, don't be a panicking. Don't panic. Believe. And he seemed we've all paid attention to Trump for the longest time now. He seemed way calmer than even usual over the weekend. And that was the big criticism, right? The country's falling apart. He's destroying the economy, and he's golfing at Mar-a-Lago. Oh, it's horrible. I got a sense then, the end of last week, I'm like, another move is coming. So that's the move. So all these countries we just talked about there, now willing to negotiate in a 90-day pause to give them time to negotiate with the U.S., accept more tariffs on China. This, as we all should have known, was the art of the deal. We've known it since he published that book in the 80s. What was it, 1984, maybe even before? This is what he does. He'll create some leverage where none exists, go around that, and he's back. And now we have China surrounded. And they'll retaliate, obviously, right? Because the whole thing, this is another thing we learned. All of this, the whole time, was about China. These other countries, fine, we can deal with them, we cannot, we can whatever, right? This was all about China, which is going to mean economic pain coming in the future. It's a fight worth fighting. I really, truly believe that. If not for you, for the economy, for whoever in the younger generation you got coming up behind you, it's worth it. It's worth it right now. It's worth it for the American worker. You should hear those. You should hear the factory workers coming out talking about that. It's not just the plants closing down, which is what we've heard of since the 70s, of course. It's the American worker that can't, that can't afford to live anymore, especially in the Midwest and the Rust Belt. That's the end result of this thing. That's why this fight is happening, which should have happened decades ago. But nobody either knew how to do it or had the balls, patriotic balls, to take this on and actually do it. And it is going to take some courage, as he said right there. But here's my main takeaway. Everything else changed yesterday. You know how everything's like a communication skill? Who you listen to, who you don't listen to. We learned forever. And you couldn't even say this last week. Couldn't say it for sure. You can speculate which business and political leaders are really, truly rooting against you and your country. I mean that. No hyperbole. They're rooting against the success of your country because of whatever the hell backroom deals, or whatever the hell favor they're giving to foreign corporations or protecting the trade deals they make. I have no idea. What I know is listen to them and their reaction to yesterday and this announcement made by Trump and with the stock market going up. Actually upset. Well, let's start off with this asshole. Remember I told you about Jim Cramer? This is how I started to feel good about the stock market. Remember last Friday he predicted Black Monday was coming? Remember this? Remember this guy? He was all over the air talking about this. Here's Jim.
Scenario, the one where we went down 3 days and then down 22% on Monday, has the most cogency. We will not have to wait out too long, will we? We'll know by Monday. Fortunately, we had
Yeah, Black Monday never came because that guy's wrong about everything. So once he started the dire predictions, and that same cut, by the way, he's talking about back in 1987. Well, I did well, and I did that. I did that. Did you notice that pattern? It was like the people complaining most about the stock market when it was going down were the hedge fund managers. They're not really doing much for you in the middle class. People like Jim Cramer, big investment, the tech bros, and by the way, media outlets who have a very strong investment and a very strong influence from, guess where? China, complaining about it. That was crystal clear. Here's another thing crystal clear. What a scramble to witness yesterday. So like I said, my little plane stories, we're all getting the information and people are talking about it. That's the other thing, too. I just always have my ears open when I'm out in public like that to listen to reaction to any kind of a news story. Like, what do people really think? What's the thing? What shocked me on this plane, just of regular people traveling back from the Northeast to Florida, just regular people. Once this announcement made and the stock market was booming, everybody talking about it. So I made a little, impromptu trip to the bathroom. Not to go to the bathroom, just to listen to what people are saying in the other aisles. It was wild. It was wild to listen to how many people were saying, see? Or you lean to your spouse or your brother or whoever was going, see? Told you this was going to happen. It's belief. But listen to this. I don't think the crooks, and I mean that, now it's crystal clear the cast of characters, the usual suspects, and I'll say it now, fully, officially, are rooting against you and are rooting against your country. They were in a scramble when the good news actually came yesterday. Let's start with suspect number one, Chucky Schumer. A little impromptu press conference from Chucky. Listen to how mad he sounds. Just shaken and visibly upset and mad that things are turning around and actually trying to spin it towards, we have no idea how this is going to result. Whatever. I know the stocks went up and it looks as though all these countries are willing to negotiate, but it's still bad news, everybody. Still panic. Right.
So look, you can't undo the damage. The Trump slump is upon us now. And whatever he will try to do in the future does not undo the damage.
Because things turned around, not forever, still are in for some rocky roads. Like I said, it's going to take some courage going forward. But because the stock market went up, again, the biggest single gain in the Dow in American history, it looks as though all these countries, except China, are willing to negotiate. We can knock down the debt that we owe these countries eventually, which will ensure our survivability in this country going forward. Despite all of that good news, and despite a lot of people even saying, all right, I feel better. All right, I'm ready to invest again. Nope. Then you got this crook in front of a national audience saying, well, it's still bad news. It's still bad. Bad, bad, bad. Here's another one for you. Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, we all know her, actually took it upon herself to go to the Senate floor day before yesterday to talk about the stocks. What she's referring to here was when things were down and Trump said, remember, famously, don't be a panicking. Buy, buy, buy. It's a good time to buy. Well, now that, and it was a great time to buy, by the way, now that the stocks went up, she took it upon herself to actually maybe suggest that there was some insider trading going on. The stock market and investment is doing better. She thinks there was something nefarious going on. You can't make this stuff up.
Was that market manipulation? Was it corruption in plain sight? We need an independent investigation into market manipulation because Americans need to know whether President Trump or anyone in his administration manipulated the market to benefit their donors.
The president, the commander-in-chief, the leader of the free world, tells people not to panic, to actually look at this and have the mindset of a buying opportunity when stocks are down. And she takes that to mean there's insider trading going on for his donors. You can't, I'll say it before again, and obviously you make up your own mind. Now I'm convinced there are politicians that absolutely 100% are rooting against America. She's one of them. Chucky Schumer's running is another one, and there's all kinds of them. And it's not a Democrat-Republican thing. Plenty of Republicans upset about this too. Oh, absolutely. That must have investment deals, stocks that benefit from China. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt about it. What it is, and it's where we are. So, by the way, with the stocks thing, it's like I had said last week before taking that little break, to tough it out, and unless you're willing to cash out that day, and I'm with you. My 401k took a disastrous hit as well. But unless you were willing to cash out that day or get all your money out of the stock market, it's a long ride. It's the long game. It's a long gamble, and it is gambling, right? But I would never blame anybody for panicking and taking their money out on that. But I think you got to look at the people who actually saw that. The people, and we all know them. I have some good friends that, boy, they're looking pretty today. I bought a little on the aggressive end when the stocks were down, but I have friends that bought like full end. Like this is a buying opportunity. We got to learn from those people because they have the kind of mindset that survives rocky times. We really do, because they're winning, and the market's going to go down again and this and that and whatever. But you know what? Trump was right. The people that didn't panic, don't become a panicking. They're looking pretty good right about now. But the takeaway, I think it's going to take some patriotic balls. And if you're not into just rooting for the good old USA and you're still upset or you don't stand for the anthem, whatever. That's all surface stuff. What you're doing to take on this fight, which again should have happened years ago, is for you, your fellow Americans, your future country, your kids, anybody that's going to live longer than us, because this is the long game. You can either give it to China, you can give it to us, because that's what it boils down to. So it's going to be a fight, but I think it's one worth fighting. All right, this is the other thing. This is another reason why it was killing me not to do a live stream. I told you, I have to do this thing, otherwise I go insane. All these thoughts are rattling around in my head. I have been absolutely obsessed with this direwolf story. This is the coolest thing. And I know I'm the guy that was all upset about, remember they brought back with the DNA of the woolly mice to try to eventually grow it and bring back the woolly mammoth. And I'm like, I don't, is that a good idea? Yeah, I know they're cute and everything, but I don't know. So I'm a hypocrite on this because I heard the dire wolf story. I am fascinated by this. First of all, this is the sound of, well, they're getting there anyway, but this is the sound of wolves with DNA they're bringing back that have been extinct for 10,000 years. Huh. Which actually sounds a lot like some of the protests we had last weekend. No, but it's dire wolves. Here's the full story, and I know that everybody's had a reaction for this, and I realize this story is like 3 days old, but as you well know, I've been kind of out of it for a couple of days. First howl of a dire wolf in over 10,000 years. Romulus and Remus, world's first de-extinct animals. They're born in October. They're like 5 months old now. Dire wolf has been extinct for that long. Brought back from extinction using genetic edits derived from a complete dire wolf genome. Reconstructed by Colossal that's a company, from ancient DNA found in fossils dating back 11,000 and 72,000 years. A milestone for many things, and they're calling it CRISPR technology. And what they're going to do is now put this DNA into something else, and then they grow it again, something else, and then finally, fully, you have a full dire wolf, the giant ones. Like, think Game of Thrones, like those kinds of wolves. Not just the regular wolves, which, by the way, are massive. We all tend to think of wolves as just, well, they're just wild dogs. No, they're huge in the wild. These things are even bigger than that. These are like the beastly wolves. I know a lot can go wrong. I get it. I'm with you. Like I said, I was against the woolly mice. But this, I'm sorry, this is just so cool. I don't know. This is amazing to me. I've been thinking about this for like 3 days. It's incredible. And this is one of those stories, too, where everybody has heard about it because it's just a wild thing. It's just a big news story. And everybody seems to kind of be in favor of it, but saying the same thing. Oh, gee, I don't see that going wrong. We all saw Jurassic Park. What are they going to bring back next? The things we shouldn't bring back. I don't want, because somebody's going to try. Somebody somewhere in some foreign, somebody in Uzbekistan is going to be, hiding a bunch of gold, and they're going to pay off one of these companies to bring back like a dragon. They never existed, Bill. I know, I'm just having fun. Or a pterodactyl or something nasty. It was kind of, or a saber-toothed tiger. That's probably one. And then let's hope that it doesn't get into the hands of like these illegal exotic animal trades. But regardless, it's an amazing scientific story. I'm rooting for the wolves. It's just like with pets, though, right? We like the cute ones and the cool ones, and we hate the ugly ones. That's why we like chickens. They're ugly. Feel bad eating those. Anyway, all right, I'm out of material. Thanks for sticking with me. It's been a rough couple of days, and I hate not doing the live stream. Like I said, it's like therapy for me, too. But remember, wherever you like to get your podcast, Wicked Radio is all part of Wicked Wisdom on Facebook and on YouTube, and wherever you like to get your audio podcasts. I haven't checked the audio podcast being away for a couple of days, but those numbers are going up, and I appreciate you. As always, likes and follows and all that stuff. The takeaway, it's one simple thing. We're going to have courage to get through this, and it's not just a blind patriotic thing. You're doing it for each other. If there are rocky times, this is a great time to be patriotic. Patriotic balls. That's the one to remember there. Don't take any crap from anybody, especially Xi Jinping. We don't want to go to war with them. Just saying. Pro-America, not China. All right. With all that said, thanks for hanging out with me. What is this, Thursday? Tomorrow's Friday already? Man, you take a couple of days off, and that's what happens. Who knows what will happen then, but have a wicked awesome Thursday. We'll talk to you then.